outside. And that's why we're starting 4 minutes late for you guys waiting on the live there. Apparently, it's something to the little internet, but we're good. We're back. It is November 17th. It has been a while, guys. It's been a little over 5 minutes since I have been back to see this and to do this with you guys on these great Sunday mornings. I returned from a cruise. It is 9:05 in the a.m. Uh, we had a frost last night. We got a little bit of drizzle, a little rain going on out there, and I got to tell you, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. Um, Went on my first cruise, and I actually kind of highly recommend going on a cruise. We drove down to Charlotte, North Carolina, caught a plane down to Miami, got to see Miami. I will never drive in Miami. I have no problem getting Ubers or shutter buses or shuttled around by the buses of the hotels and the airports, whatever I need to do. But I highly recommend it to just not drive. I've drove on the Washington D.C. Turnpike, and I think Miami traffic, Miami roads may have beat it. And then from there, we went on a Virgin Voyage cruise for adults only. I'm now an international traveler. I have been out of the country officially, passport and all, and we had an absolute blast. Got to tell you, man. Went to a place called Puerto Plata, did an excursion there. Might talk a little bit about that because believe it or not, it did involve comics. And then turned around and we ended up spending a day in the Bahamas. If you have me on Instagram as Howler Mouse, or if you know me personally and have me on Facebook, yeah, there's pictures, there's videos, there's music, there's art. It was just something that really fed the soul, and to come back from that and be here with you guys, that's awesome too, man. Because like you're seeing somebody whose spirit is much lighter, if that makes any sense. So right off the bat, let's thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications because John is here. John, man, the consistency and the dependability that you show being here with your good mornings and stuff. It's one of the things that keeps me doing this. And then we have John Jones here. What's up, brother? Good morning to you. John Jones, saw your pics on Facebook. I was more shocked about seeing a hatless howler. Yeah, yes, a hatless howler. Um, if you've watched me here over since 2010, over the years, um, not only have you seen things go gray, but you've seen things kind of slide back and disappear and stuff, right? So yeah, I hope I'm pulling it off well. Yes. So yeah, there you go, man. That's an incentive to have me on Instagram and stuff, man. You might get to see, the howler under the hood, if you will. So anyway, I hope everybody is like doing fine. And one of the first things that I am going to say is that there are some comics to show and stuff. Amazingly enough, so the basics of the cruise is, and try not to really talk too much about it, is that I ended up keeping a journal while I was on the cruise. Just did a few little things here and there, and it's like art and watercolor and stuff. And I've got a feeling that this channel is always going to be the backbone of comics and things like that. But I think we're going to be steering a little bit more, adding to it, if you will, adding a candle to the cake, probably doing a little bit of art and stuff, right? And when I say art, we're not talking about we're going to school. We're not talking about you're going to see a Rembrandt get created in front of your eyes. It's all about just doing it and talking about it and having fun and maybe do some voiceovers and do a few little other things. All right, everybody is popping up. Good morning, the Comic Collector. Great to see you, brother. So glad to see you. That's awesome, man. So one of the things that happened while I was out at sea with the cruise, and gaining 7 pounds, eating, and seeing street. Let me finish that sentence and stuff. One of the things they had on the cruise is that you have live entertainment popping up in places, right? And it turns out that Virgin Voyages actually has a scout that apparently, from what I understand, when they port at certain countries and stuff, they have scouts that go out and they find street performers and stuff like that. And that's where they find the talent. It makes perfect sense to be able to do live music and see people on the streets around crowds and big distractions and everything. Of course, they would be perfect to play on a boat with a bunch of drunk people. You know what I mean? Things like that, you know. And so I saw some fantastic duos. And I put them on Facebook and stuff, right? But I think my favorite was the Loop Technology with a Celtic violinist straight from Ireland, who was playing things like Stand By Me, The Lion Sleeps Tonight, Bittersweet Symphony. I put a whole video of that and stuff, and we got to watch her. That was just fantastic. There was a duo, I believe they were from South Africa, and they came out, and it was like R&B with a guy that played his heart out on acoustic guitar, and a few other things that were there. And it just really like fed the soul seeing the ocean. They had these hammocks where you're on your cabin and you have the balcony and you see the wide open ocean. I saw the curvature of the earth officially. And it's no wonder why people back in the day used to think that the earth was flat, because when you're out there in the middle of the ocean, that far out, it really feels like you're in some kind of sphere. I don't, when you look around, everything feels round that you're in, and you're like in the center. So I totally get where that misconception came from. Good morning. Comet Crack is here. Great to see you, brother. Great to see you. Fantastic. Make sure you check out Crack and La Raza with their fantastic show that usually airs on Mondays. Okay, guys. So after returning from the cruise, actually had about a day of recovery. It took a long time to get back, traveling from Florida to Virginia several different ways. My wife flew for the first time, had layovers and driving, got to eat some food. We just took our time, made a day of it. And one of the things we had to do was take the step kid out for his birthday. I think his birthday actually hit while we were on the cruise. But we celebrated before, and then when we got back, we took him out yesterday to Bristol, Virginia, State Street. Bristol, Virginia, Tennessee, State Street. One of the places I talk about all the time, one of my favorite places to go since about 1988 when I was in high school. Just love everything that goes on there. And there's the Mountain Empire Comics that has celebrated its 40th year. And in the midst of taking the kid out, taking the family, the immediate family out to celebrate that, he ordered his idea of a celebration. It tells you the generations have changed. His idea of a celebration was going to one of my favorite restaurants, 620 State Street. I have a few pictures on Instagram of what we ate, and this kid decided that for his birthday dinner, it was a double portion of Dragon Roll sushi. People, everybody else got American cheeseburgers, So there's a picture of that as you're into sushi and stuff, right? So after that, I kind of veered off, went around to Mountain Empire Comics. The owner comes in. It blows my mind how long I've known the owner, Rob, off and on over the years. Can't believe we never really went out for a dinner or anything. But we always have these great talks when I have time and he has time, and things are coming in there. He's in his early 70s now, which blows my mind. And he's like, hey, come here. I got another collection in. And he comes in there, and I made this stack and offered him $20. And I have a little regret of what I left behind because there was some great stuff. So apparently he had someone come in. This collection looked like it was mid 80s to mid 90s with what was in what were in these boxes. And he looked at Rob. According to Rob, the owner, the story goes, he said, if you don't buy these, I'm going to be throwing them out. Rob joked and said, I told him there's a trash bin out there. I just go collect them later. So I made a stack, went back and forth with looking at the prices. I was like, I'll give you 20. He was like, well, I was going to say 10. So I got this stuff for $10, and I thought about all the Crisis on the Infinite Earth stuff I left behind and everything like that. I need issue 4 and 10 to have a complete new mint set, because I have the ones that I bought as a 12-year-old kid that are signed by Marv Wolf and George Perez, but they're reader's copies. They're beat up. I will never get rid of them. Okay. Oh, wow. John L. Morning. Okay. Good morning, everyone. John, I bragged on you. I hope you were still around. And then it's Prop One Collector, top of the morning. Great, man. So let me give you guys a heads up about what we're going to talk about at the end of it. I will be talking about something that I saw when I got back from the cruise that popped up in my feed and my recommendations. I don't usually I don't know how to explain it, burn. I'm not trying to burn anybody or do any hate or roast or anything like that, but I got some observations to talk about, right? So one of the first things that I got out of this collection that Rob had was something I've wanted since I was 15. Now, let me explain to you trades in 1988, the concept of trade paperbacks. Floppies were king, okay? And if you guys, there's anybody in the comments here that want to do their memories, because we didn't have the internet. If you were in a small town, didn't have a comic book store in your town, did not have a bookstore in your town, you're going to totally get what I'm saying here on some level. All right. And you would see advertisements of this stuff, right? There were things that were just direct market. They were not on the newsstand. You would have magazines of Savage Sword of Conan, maybe The Destroyer. Maybe if you were lucky, you did see Vampirella when they had it in the 70s and the Monster magazines and things like that, right? But if you did, they were expensive at the time. Maybe there's more competition to actually get those and stuff. So they would put out a bunch of them. And then all of a sudden you would miss out on some books. They would not be on the spinner rack. There'd be, you missed it because there would be a empty rack on that spinner rack. And you just knew that was your Todd McFarlane Spider-Man. That was your Frank Miller Daredevil. That was your Booster Gold by Dan Jurgens. Okay. You knew that was the spot, right? And then all of a sudden you hear this thing about trades. I mean, you really had it in your mind. If you missed a comic per month, and that month, you didn't have access to these comic book shops that you knew were out there, or go to these comic book conventions that felt like a world away that were advertisements, in the back of it, or you didn't have the money to order the god awful prices of Mile High Comics even back then. You were just like, I'll never have that comic book. I'll never see it, and I'll be put in the grave with never seeing it. Then all of a sudden you started hearing about this concept of trades where they were collecting these books, but they were expensive and they were like, wow, that looks awesome. And you never saw them. You never saw them. I'm sure they were out there, obviously, or you wouldn't have your hands on them, right? So over the years, I talked about how as a kid for I don't know, we'll say 80 to about 84, I would get teen books, Batman the Outsider, Justice League, Avengers and stuff, right? So because they had more heroes in them. Not so much because they were teen books, but I got more heroes, more bang for my buck. And then also, I was cantankerous. I'm still that way. Once something kind of hits and gets popular, I'm kind of looking for the next big thing or the thing around the corner that everybody's ignoring now, those hidden gems. And that's paid off for me spectacularly. I'll just tell you what. So I avoided the X-Men. I avoided the Teen Titans a little bit. Every now and then they would pull in here. I had the stepdads, the uncles, Silver Age books, some of that Bronze Age stuff. I knew what they were. I had my friend John when I was 7, and he was like about 15, explaining. My first issue of Uncanny X-Men I ever read was number 3. And then 6 months later, I've got John Byrne and Chris Claremont making waves with the Dark Phoenix saga. And my friend John was a huge Neil Adams / John Byrne, Chris Claremont X-Men fan. So I had my friend explaining that to me. And then all of a sudden, a guy named Arthur Adams hits the scene, right? And I see this advertisement or something. Somehow I know about Long Shot, and I see this artwork, and I'm like, oh, wow. To give you an idea, this is like when Never Ending Story is out, Cloak and Dagger is out, those movies. Michael Jackson is still hot, things like that, where everybody's trying to break dance. And I'm just entering middle school, if I remember right? And then all of a sudden, I can't say no, I see this New Mutants special. And then I see this X-Men annual, I think number 9, and it's Storm and Loki at the Asgardian Wars. Then I find out that there was this X-Men Alpha Flight crossover with Paul Smith, who was one of my even as my friend Jason in 1983, I think, had Paul Smith. Make sure I'm getting it. He had the Paul Smith X-Men in his house, right? So anyway, I mean, I saw the issue where we got the Mohawk leather-wearing punk version of Storm, right? I was there because Jason had it amongst his G.I. Joe and Rom comic books, right? And then all of a sudden you heard about this collection that came out 3 years later. Now, I still have my original X-Men annual that pops into the Asgardian Wars. I do not have the original New Mutant Special because it was my first comic that I'm aware of that was stolen from me, and I was able to replace it many times, many times. And lo and behold, I don't know what year it was, but I'm gonna say it was 2014 or 15, because anyway, that I finally had Art Adams sign those books, right? But in the midst of this, you saw advertisements for the trade of that entire saga. And this is where I ended up just becoming, I gave in. Thanks to Art Adams, I ended up just devouring the X-Men all of a sudden, right? I already had a few issues here and there, don't get me wrong, of the more modern stuff, right? But the whole idea of getting this, I mean, I'm just holding up a trade that I've got in a $10 comic book haul. But there's a lot more to this. I remember seeing this and wondering about these trades. As you can see, trades are easily accessible, so don't get me wrong. But to me, in my mind, this is one of the first ones. So I have this one. I have the Peter David, Todd McFarlane Hulk over here somewhere. And I have the Trial Galactus ones. In my mind, those were some of the first trades ever out there, right? Now, I know there was some Elementals, and that's fresh on my mind because I'm last night I got through the first 7 issues of the Elementals, and I know that they had a trade. I know that you had graphic novels and things like that you can get your head on it, but something about having all of the story in there, right? So this was $15 when it came out. Well, that's why I was thinking we're going to have to work up to 10. And I have to tell you, man, it has aged exceptionally well. Sorry we don't have Comic Cam today. I just wasn't up for setting up everything. But look at these iconic images of 85. Now, I want to remind you, I've already mentioned Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's what was going on at the time at DC while this was going on. Now, my God, that was just a fantastic time to be 12 years old and having all these comics come out. And then we finally get to Art Adams with what he is doing. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, as a 12-year-old, seeing the Enchantress in a mini skirt and some puffy boots, yeah, that's how you get an audience back then, or whatever you want to say here and stuff, right? But to see the New Mutants and this Art Adams art, the inking on it. Now, guys, think about this. George Perez was drawing virtually almost every character in the DC universe. Crisis on Infinite Earths #2 has Commandy on the cover, and I saw George Perez drawing Jack Kirby Commandy on the cover of Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is when that stuff was not popular. If you went down the well of being a collector and you were into Commandy up through about the 90s and early 2000s, even other comic book collectors were like, "Ooh, that guy's deep," So it was not cool. And then at the same time, we've got the Asgardian Wars, which has some of what I would put up there as some of the most beautiful artwork ever put out in comics, man. It's got little Easter eggs in it also, man. There's a giant that looks like Ed Grimley in it. We got Bluto and Popeye looking like they're popping up in there disguised as some of ours, little Easter eggs in there. We got drama. We find out that the New Mutants and some of the X-Men fit in better on Asgard than on Earth, so there's sacrifice involved. We got Storm wanting things. Yeah, it really made me back up and catch up what was going on pretty quick, So that is just fantastic to be able to have something. To me, it's going to be kind of like a time capsule. One of those things you sort of kind of felt like it was always going to be out of reach, and to find one in such good shape and so cheap, that's fantastic. Now, I could probably go on eBay at some point, probably find one for $1, but I found it in the wild, and it's always stayed on the back of my mind. It's a little comic book history in my eyes, right? So good stuff there. Here we go. John, I'm a huge X-Men fan, absolutely. Mastodon Comics and Music. Good morning, Tim. Great to see you, brother. Awesome, man. And then we got Gore Vidal. Nice to see you. I hope you're finally settled in with your moves and things like that. Uh, uh, there's one thing to survive a cruise. There's another thing to come out of there and have your soul replenished and fed. It was fantastic. Getting out and seeing a little bit of the world. Went to a rum factory, a chocolate factory, and we went to a place called Puerto Plato on an excursion, right? Beautiful murals, beautiful statue of Neptune on a rock on their beach. Went deep in there, and it was exactly like a movie, like on the exertion. I felt like I was in Jewel of the Nile. Or Romance in the Stone, that movie, Romance in the Stone, right? Because we were literally thrown on a little tarp covered little truck buggy with the wooden seats and things. And my wife and I were all the way in the back. She got soaked. It was raining, of course. And I'm sitting there while everybody's listening to the tour guide. I'm wanting to see the real culture. When I travel, I don't like going to touristy places. I want to see the places that you try to keep the tourist away from. So I'm like watching everything. It's a very poor country. And everybody's driving around on mopeds, lots of trash everywhere, beautiful buildings that are let go, a lot of tin uh, repairs with like these sheets of tin on the roofs and the floors and like that, things like that, people running around. And then it was just amazing because as we were going down one street, it was like burnt down building, trash, burnt down building, nice blue place, look, a little business, people are hanging out there. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of everything, Forever Geek, a comic book shop, looked like it was right there. I was like, what? A comic book shop in Puerto Plata that was called Forever Geek. I tried to look it up online to see if it was on there. I never found it, but I didn't get to stop there or anything. Right. So we had some fantastic coffee. We ended up having some at the chocolate factory. We ended up being able to buy a a bunch of their chocolate. They didn't call it chocolate though. Coca. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. And we got some of the most, I got to say, the most delicious hot chocolate we've ever had. So, kudos to Puerto Plato. I also found out that their enemy is actually Puerto Rico, according to the tour guide, but I don't want to get into, that kind of stuff, The rum factory was interesting. I'd already been in rum factories before, in other places where bourbon where they make alcohol. All right, everybody's here. All right, so now let's get through these. These were fun for me to find. So you have to understand, right? John Byrne was, I got to say, probably this stuff. One of those collectors, as a collector, as a reader, forget collector, as a reader. I followed John Byrne. I was a Byrne guy. I was one of those. And to see him, to have some of his Fantastic Four that still holds up, and then to see him jump onto Superman, create all that excitement, and I absolutely loved everything he did at DC. But there was something about seeing him inch back towards to Marvel in the late 80s, coming back there. And the first place he popped up was in a book I was already collecting, the Star Brand. And this would be followed up with the West Coast Avengers and his sensational She-Hulk. So, and Namor, where Namor, I absolutely loved what he did there because he was tapping everything history. Hold on. Just realized I had a heater on down here, a dehumidifier. Anyway, so he was tapping into history, Marvel history there, brought back the Invaders and continued that story, brought back the original Human Torch that affected his West Coast Avengers and affected what was going on in Namor, a lot of that good stuff, right? But it's the way he eased in after doing A-list characters, like a little bit of just dabbled in some Batman and dabbled in some Teen Titans and everything he did with Superman in such a short amount of time. He wanted some B and C-list characters, and it's fun to understand. And he approached the Avengers as it wasn't West Coast Avengers. He, of course, is friends with Walt Simonson, who was writing the main Avengers book at the time. that they were just writing the Avengers, which was such great stuff, right? So you had these Marvel Age books. Now, for God's sakes, I don't understand. If you get on an actual price guide, a lot of these are worth $3, $4, $5, depending on the weather and what day you get on eBay or something like that, or find them in the wild. People are wanting to. This has calmed down a lot after the She-Hulk show bombed and everything like that. But everything sensational She-Hulk, John Byrne She-Hulk and stuff was outrageous. I bought them off the rack. I had them, except for little things like this. So there's a John Byrne interview in here, a little bit of talking about this, a John Byrne West Coast Avengers. There was an excitement, all right? And unfortunately, West Coast Avengers wasn't one of those books on the spinner racks in my town. So it was me finding every chance I could to find people going to Bristol, an hour away, 45 minutes, whatever I could do. I managed to get pretty much, I'd say 90% of the West Coast Avengers by John Byrne as they came out, which was just amazing at the time. Little did we know. So these Marvel Ages are fantastic. These little interviews, getting insight, what was going on. You had Jim Lee sitting there on Alpha Flight, having things remembered. I'm like, man, I did hit a lot of this stuff. You get some dates and times. You get Fred Hembeck stuff, just fantastic stuff. Alan Davis on Excalibur. Now, one of the things that I feel like Excalibur was a reaction to the dark, grim, gritty stuff that was going on after the Morlock Massacre. But I also feel like that after the success of Justice League by Giffen and DeMantis, we got more of a lighthearted Excalibur anyway. And if anybody's interested, I'm thinking about doing going through my collection where I'm redoing things in here. And I've realized that I have followed Alan Davis since about 1983 or 84 without realizing it, thanks to his Batman the Outsider stuff. So I'm thinking about doing some of the books that has blown me away. Alan Davis is like some band you hear on the radio all the time. You kind of take them for granted, thinking they're going to be around forever. And then we get in here and we got the Fall of the Mutants, Morlock Massacre, Fall of the Mutants, Inferno. I came in on the X-Men just in time for a lot of the good stuff, despite the fact that I found out in hindsight later on that Morlock Massacre was kind of like a cutoff point for a lot of X-Men fans. That was the point where Claremont changed everything that was going on with the X-Men, so. All right. Good morning, Heller. I'm getting into magic and the ecocentric tarot, Grimmies and such. Is magic your bag or just comics? My thing is, mine is just comics. Despite the fact that being a person of the 90s and loving conspiracy theories and, you're talking about magic and stuff. It's not the same thing, but X-Files and things like that, being very open-minded and stuff. I'm a bit more grounded in logical things that I can see, feel, and hear. But at the same time, I'm open-minded, right? I don't believe that ghosts are dead people coming back or having unfinished business or things like that. I feel like there is something there and we don't understand it. Kind of like the idea of like people would see lightning bugs in a tree on a stormy night and think they were fairies. There really is something there, but they weren't fairies. The fact that people used to think that leaving meat out to rot would cause flies to appear, and then they found out that's where they would lay their eggs. You know what I mean? Like, so I believe there are things out there. I just don't know if we really understand what it is. So, good graces on your path, sir. Yes. What we have, I was introduced to Alan Davis in '83 as well. I saw him in Warrior Magazine drawing Miracle Man. I have one of those. That I got a few years ago. And that would be one that Miracle Man is one I would pop out as an Alan Davis book. Yeah. Whenever I'm asked if I believe in ghosts, I politely answer no, but they believe in me. Nice. That is probably a much better answer than I gave. Okay, moving on here. A little fun book here for the people that are sticking around. We're going to get to some topical stuff here later that may go over, it may not, but So anyway, this is my second copy of this. I finally got this. This is that era in the late 80s of Byrne coming back to Marvel. This is Marvel Comics Presents, the bi-weekly book. Came out twice a month, number 18. Fantastic Christmas issue We get a little taste of John Byrne's She-Hulk before it came out. We get a little taste of X-Men, at least, John Byrne at least dabbling on the X-Men. There's a little tease, little Fantastic Four stuff. And we get a Willie Lumpkin story for Christmas there, where the three goes to visit him of the Christmas Carol by mistake. But what is cool about this is that this was just a flat out advertisement. And this book actually is a bit of a hidden gem. But John Byrne, this is a little prequel to what we're going to get in Sensational She-Hulk, where she breaks the fourth wall. So all that, she's talking to the thing, she's bored, I mean, I was ready for John Byrne to jump right back on the Fantastic Four, but that wasn't going to happen, after. But this disappeared from the stands. All of a sudden, Dr. Doom pops up and they're in a fight. But Magneto pops up. But what got me was Holy Mobius Galactus, because at the time, Mobius came out and he and Stan Lee did a 2-issue story of the Silver Surfer for Epic Illustrated that was out of continuity. And John Byrne ends up giving us his best Mobius montage here, if you will, homage, if you will, which I thought was fantastic. That was hilarious. So anyway, we end up finding out that she is speaking to the audience, breaks the fourth wall, letting us know what comes about. And anytime I talk about John Byrne's Sensational She-Hulk, that was the video. If you go back and look at my collection of videos here, I think if you go back to like 2011 or something, when I finally figured out what I was doing here on YouTube, when I finally got the format of how I was going to show things, when we were making up the rules as a community here and stuff and figuring things out by playing around, not taking it real serious and stuff, that was the video that popped my channel. That was the one where properly I started getting subscribers and things, right? Was John Byrne's Sensational She-Hulk by Howlermouth, showing off that advert, showing off that series and stuff, right? So I always have a warm spot talking about John Byrne's She-Hulk and adding to the collection. So I always end up telling people where the show really went wrong on Disney Plus, if anybody even gives a shit anymore. The show's come and gone, which I knew it would, but I knew they were going to mess it up. But the fact is that Sensational She-Hulk book by John Byrne, it is not a proper Marvel comic for continuity and world building and playing into other books. We find out in issue 50 that the real She-Hulk shows up, and she's at Marvel Comics offices because they need a new creator because John Byrne has disappeared. And we find out that the Sensational She-Hulk comic is actually what comic books in the proper Marvel universe look like. Okay, this is, if you're in the Marvel universe and you're watching the news and you see She-Hulk and the Fantastic Four running around, this is what you would get off the newsstand there. They're licensed their image, and they kind of, I think the Fantastic Four by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby sort of mentioned in their run how they talk to the offices and kind of tells that they tell someone their stories, if you will, and they put them out by word of mouth. And that's what the Sensational She-Hulk is. That is a comic book you would buy in the Marvel universe. I thought that was fantastic. So that answered so many things. Good morning, Victor Shade. Great to see you. Here we go. No, I don't take all the eccentric stuff literally, but it inspires my fantasy writing. It boosts my creativity and teaches me about writing magic. See, that is fantastic. You are, see, this is just it. When other people have other interests in things like that, and like I said, I don't dismiss them. But I'm like, this is a discussion we would have. I would probably sit down and just listen to you if we were face to face and I had questions. But the thing about getting inspiration, creativity, to me, there's a creativity that you can do to where you can read a lot about a topic and you're like a cup that gets filled, right? And then you need to just like close everybody off, sit down and take everything you just put in your head and let it just come out of you. To me, that's a magic all its own too and stuff. So that's fantastic. And Victor Shade is here. Fantastic, right? Okay, guys, so I thought this was an upgrade. No big deal. This is part of a $10 haul. It's got a big crease in the back. I don't know what happened. But I think 25 issues of Clive Barker's Nightbreed came out through Epic Comics at the time, back in Marvel. I love this series. I'm always trying to collect the whole entire 25 issues, if I believe. I think I got like 11 or 12 of them. I got a trade of the movie, but there is a Cabal cut of Clive Barker's Nightbreed that's 3.5 hours long for free on YouTube, where fans have gotten together, found the extended footage, remastered it themselves, edited it into the movie. And there's a whole history of how that movie came about, if you will. But Cabal is the name of the original book, if I remember right, that they made Nightbreed in 1990. To me, it is the ultimate #1 B movie ever that I absolutely love. I collect the comics that had the promotional material in the book, where they folded out and showed you all the monsters that were in the movie to introduce them. Nightbreed is this. I tie it with Flash Gordon, the 1980 Flash Gordon, when it comes to ultimate B movies and stuff, right? They're too well made to be considered a B movie, but there's just enough there to keep them from being A-list, in my opinion, right? So yeah, Clive Barker's Nightbreed. Nothing big here. Number 6. Thought it was an upgrade. It's not, but I will read that all day long. And we're at the end of the comic book portion here, where I'm probably going to get a little topical and stuff, working my way up. Things are just on my mind. But I found this. This was supposed to have been $2. It's not. But All-Star Superman free comic book day without the stamp on it, right? Now, I have all 12 issues. I have multiple issues of this 12-issue miniseries. This was really needed, okay? When Grant Morrison decided to go back and really show us the whole point of these 12 issues of All-Star Superman that's outside of continuity was what makes Superman Superman. And also Grant Morrison was experimenting with like how much story can he tell in a minimalistic manner. Everybody knows the origin of Superman, so how few words can I use to convey that story? He did it in 3 panels. Things like that, right? But it's 12 issues, fantastic. I love it. So I have the Neil Adams #1 variant cover. I have 1 or 2 #1s. And of course, this kind of popped for a little bit because James Gunn, while writing the script for the new Superman movie, was shown having the trade open of All-Star Superman. And now we have Crypto in it. Yes, Crypto is in this. So even though that Superman movie, the new one coming out next year, probably isn't All-Star Squadron, All-Star Superman, of course, this was the inspiration, which is fine with me. It's the essence of him, right? So my wife ended up getting me this. I love these compact comics. I absolutely love these manga-sized stories that they were having. My wife ended up picking this up after we came home from the cruise, and she went out with her mother. She knew I was looking for the compact comics, so I could sit here and just read this without digging through the shelves or paying $30 to $40 for a trade. So I have 3 of them now, the Watchmen and stuff, and these are just fantastic, exactly what they are supposed to be. Just a convenient way to read a great story. You can pack them around, do whatever. And I take care of everything anyway, but this is the kind of thing, they're so cheap that even if you put them in your bag and they got a little damaged here and there and stuff, it's no big deal to replace them. So yeah, All-Star Superman. Now, if you watch the DVD that they did, which I think has blown my mind. I think that was like 10 years ago, but they did do a straight to DVD adaptation animated of this, which was fantastic. But they left out I think it's 3 issues in here of the Bizarro stuff. There's a 2 to 3 issue part where we get introduced to Zabaro. Okay. They left out the Bizarro stuff. They had the Samson stuff. They had the Return of the Kryptonians that popped up out of nowhere, popped up. You know, you get a little bit more of the unknown Superman and things like that in there. But yeah, I recommend reading this instead of just watching the adaptation that they did on that straight to DVD. It's probably, you can probably stream it on Tubi, I'm sure, or something right now. It was on HBO Max forever. They have a whole library of all their DC stuff, but they've been farming it out to Tubi a little bit. You just never know what you're going to find. All right. Yeah, the Watchmen Compact is excellent since it reads like a novel anyway. Absolutely. I have that up here on the top shelf. It actually is starting to turn into one of my favorite formats of the Watchmen, because exactly what you're saying, when you have it in your hands and you flip back and forth in it, it's exactly how Alan Moore said you were supposed to read it. It's fantastic. All right, I bought the compact Superman, very handy. Yeah, I'm really holding back when I run across these because I do not need the format, and having it so handy there is making me want to grab every one of them. It's the first time in quite a while that the excitement, that's a little strong of a word, but anyway, it's the first time that just having something like that makes me just want to collect the whole entire line of something. You know what I'm saying? So no, we're not getting Batman Hush. We're not getting this. We're getting that. We're going story by story. The only one I took a chance on was Gotham City Sirens, which now they are called Harley Quinn and the Gotham City Sirens, because I got Paul Dini's name right there front and center, and they have other writers on it. That blows my mind. I got this because I thought it was entirely Paul Dini. It's not, but I'm still going to enjoy it. You know, I kind of stopped dead reading it, you know, as soon as Paul Dini wasn't writing it anymore. I was like, okay, we got to pick that back up. Okay. So when I come back from the cruise, now the thing about it is that you can get basic free internet, right? Which means you can check your social media, but they have it to where you can't stream YouTube and things, right? And I suspect, allegedly, I suspect that they know what they're doing on this cruise because they will offer you $40 a day on internet if you want to upgrade. And I think they had one that was 120 or something, right? I can't remember. But they had tiers that you could get stronger and stronger internet out at sea. Yet I could get on X and a few other places and I could stream videos perfectly there if somebody else had posted them. I thought that was very curious. I get on YouTube and a few other things, news sites and stuff, nothing. But I didn't really care. You know, even if we had 100% full access to Wi-Fi and the internet and all that stuff like that, I wouldn't have been on it. I'm out at sea. I'm enjoying myself. We got a $200 bar tab. We got food everywhere. I'm spending time with my wife. I'm lucky. We're a couple that actually like to hang out together and stuff, right? We like to do things together and, you know, have our own little in jokes and all that sappy stuff, right? So I get back and there's quite a few things going. We have the Mike Tyson fight that my wife has been wanting to watch with Jake Paul. That happened 2 nights ago on the 15th, 11/15, right? So we got back from our trip Wednesday or Thursday before that. And we're still like kind of recovering where we need a little bit of rest and stuff, right? But if you didn't watch the Mike Tyson fight on Netflix, let me give you a little rundown of what happened. First of all, the streaming was horrible as people were watching it, right? So this thing started at 8 o'clock. There's going to be 4 fights total, and somehow they stretched it out to at least 5 hours. Okay, you follow me? Of mediocre boxing matches, Rosie Perez announcing. You know, they had glitches and stuff, and I thought it was kind of cool because it felt like a real live event where they had a microphone going out here and they were going out there. Apparently, they were at Texas. I couldn't figure out why they were having the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders kind of opening the show, and I was like, was anybody going to sing the national anthem? They waited to the last fight to do it. All of a sudden this became more of a spectacle than an actual sporting event is what I'm trying to get at, right? So we were sort of having fun with it, but as it went on, I ended up popping up on social media and was cracking up on X. I don't even really like X, but you know, I have it. A few people, my friends on Facebook, I cracked a few jokes in the thread. You know, it's what you make it. You know, if it can be a good time, if you can make it a good time. But then all of a sudden, the actual fight started with Jake Paul and Tyson. And there's times where I get a kick out of things for all the wrong reasons. And remind myself I'm an imperfect human. Some things are also just funny and they're not that heavy. But not only did I know that this was like a piece of crap fight, but I was cracking up at at other people realizing that they were really getting mad. Okay, seeing the Facebook threads, you know, comments, seeing people post things like I stayed up for this shit and all this stuff like that. I haven't had that much fun since what was it, 2016, watching NBC analysts and news people and stuff slowly realized Trump was getting elected. You know, 2016. The meltdowns were funny, and I'm just sitting here like, oh, Tim, you're a horrible person. You know some of these people personally and stuff, right? But I got enjoyment and entertainment out of the fallout of the Tyson Jake Paul fight more than anything. And my wife was right beside me throwing a fit. So I kind of had it everywhere. And I've had so much fun with that, right? So I don't know if you like the Tyson fight, the Jake Paul fight, or if you're even worried about it and stuff, but the spectacle in itself is historical and legendary in my mind because it was not a sporting event. And I think if you go towards it through that, now, I haven't seen people be this excited over anything since the Tiger King, and I'm counting the Stranger Things episodes and stuff, right? I'm not a big fan of the Netflix, you know what I mean? But because you can get it and catch up in 2 weeks once a year if you really want to be on there. But yeah. So there's that. That's just fantastic. Cobra Kai. I was just about to go ahead and get rid of the Netflix. We got it just for that fight because my wife wanted to watch it. But they dropped the last half of season 6. I believe it's the last season of Cobra Kai. And I've discovered Arrested Development. And now I've got to finish it. Somehow in the last 3 or 4 months, I've binged every season, every episode, and I'm down to the last 3 or 4. And I watch it like you can control the speed on your phone. I watch it at 1.5 and 2.0, just flying through this stuff, right? Because I got things to do. So that moves us on to other things to where, like I was talking about, not having the internet, not having Wi-Fi. I'm out on the ship, and we get to what I have here in my title here, right? And I would love to just be one of those. We used to call them shitlords. Okay, is what they used to be called, edgelords, shitlords, and things like that. That's not what this is going to be. Okay, this is going to be me using exactly the material that has been given, right? Because what happened was I had all sorts of things recommended to me on my YouTube feed. Apparently, if you get the algorithm going on your YouTube, this is my guess, my speculation, and all of a sudden you disappear for a week. You know what I mean? They really want you to come back and use their app and watch their videos and stuff, right? So when I came back to YouTube online, if you will, in an airport, and we had a huge layover. I think our layover was like from 10 o'clock to 7:30 because the plane was also late from when it was originally there. I ended up getting caught up on a few things, and the airport seats were amazing because you could plug up your charger between the seats you were sitting in. So I had all day. I did a little watercolor. I did a little bit of reading. I did a little bit of people watching. I tried to take a nap. We had a little lunch. And then in between all of this, I'm looking at what's in my feed. So going by what I just have here, I might just share this. Hold on. I want to show you what I'm looking at because I'm doing the thing where I'm telling instead of showing. But if you guys are aware, and it was controversial at first, and people really don't give a shit, even the people that are involved in it, but I think it was a channel called Brian LCS that started having comic book community awards. And the first thing that happened that I found about it, I think it was Don Comic Book Junkie or somebody had tagged, I think it was me and Captain Strangelife, simply because, Captain Strangelife started this stuff. I'm one of the few channels still around that's been around forever. This channel peaked around 2016 or 17, and I'm fine with that. I've got my accomplishments and what the community was, and I've learned that it's evolved and gone on, and I'm just more nostalgic of how it used to be. And anyway, but right away, one of the first things that got pointed out was people who had been in the actual community for a while. We find this had become upset, and again, it was a few people. We're not going to act like it was like widespread or anything like that. But apparently, they had a. Let's see if this is the same guy. What is this stuff? Yeah. So anyway, so what they did is they had a Lifetime Achievement Award, just to get to it and stuff. They had a Lifetime Achievement Award, and people were wanting to know how could you have Captain Strangelife, Howler Mouse, and I think they named 1 or 2 other people and not have them nominated. So I was like, it's cool. They just invalidated themselves right off the bat more for not having the people who'd been in this community for a while. So let me explain how I view that comic book community awards. First of all, it doesn't matter, right? There's a clique of people who are into it. It's not a big deal. But the reason I mention it is by calling themselves the comic book community, that gives a feel of everybody that is on YouTube who uses that term. They think we all know each other. If there's somebody new coming in on this, and when they do stupid shit, it reflects on other people. Thus, they have to get on here and like, okay, do I mention this? Do I sound salty? Do I really want to take the chance of drama coming? And you find out less and less people really give a shit, so it doesn't matter, right? But you do have to take a stand sometimes and let some new viewers like, this may not be the place for you. Okay. So anyway, I had a bunch of this bullshit recommended to me, and it's my own fault for watching some Sticky Goose drama, right? Basically the Comic Tom 101. I'm an imperfect human. And sometimes we like to read the National Enquirer. You know what I mean? It's not that big a deal. This community was built on the fact of like we survived for so long when other communities were falling down and having like Gamergate and shit go on. We had people we took care of things behind the scene. Everybody had the same goal. That was the biggest thing. And we had this very inviting place where everybody could talk about comics, and it didn't matter what you knew, how long you'd been collecting comics. Everybody had a spot. Everybody recommended each other's videos, and we were more or less kind of a web. Even people who just commented, we knew those people well just from the comments and stuff like that for so long and everything. And we hung out behind stage also. Sean Paul Ace Peter probably single-handedly kept this community going probably an extra 2 years before Comicsgate and all that stuff hit, and a few other things that happened, all the drama, because when people started getting negative and stuff, we carried on the comic book community without broadcasting it on YouTube. It was Google Hangouts and things like that. 6 to 10 people at a time, everybody taking turns, meeting up several times a week throughout the night. And there's people like Jared Osborne and me and a few other people that are still a great legend. That's how we all did it there for a while. So yeah, even though videos were still being put out and things were going publicly, ranks were closed and everybody was in there. And then he would make the link to get into those Hangouts just available to a lot of other fans. And we would have people who just commented. We were seeing their faces for the first time. And it got kind of funny because the link would get out and you would have like just random young people getting on there and being like, come on, and screaming like, it's Howler Mouse, it's and then they would disappear. People were just jumping in to be seen, wave, and get the hell out of there and give a weird shout out and stuff, right? It was a good time. So we're very far away from all that now. Things have evolved, things have changed, and the people who are still around that do this, you know, like me, we're just doing it because of things I say all the time. I love hanging out with you guys. I love seeing people. And my interests have waned also from other things on YouTube. So then we get to this stuff showing up in my feed about the comic book community and these awards apparently that come in there. All right. So before I start kind of showing this, let me preface this, right? So Brian LCS, I watched 1 or 2 of his videos, and then this Wahoo Comics guy, I watched this one video. I'm not digging in there, right? But right before this, in my feed, I've kind of checked out some of these other channels who have come together and they're all like hanging out, and I'll check them out, and they're not friends. That's what gets me. They're looking for clicks, which is fine. We didn't used to do that. They're looking for clicks. They keep saying the word community, but their actions and the way they act with each other, they're not really a community. And there's like a bit of a competitive nature there and stuff, right? What I'm getting at is that this isn't a negative critique. This is me just saying, here's what you guys are putting out. What they really need is some self-realization. You know what I mean? They need some self-awareness of how they're coming off, and they're completely missing the point that by staying in a clique and putting out these videos, you are not coming off very well to other people. And what gets me is that they talk about anything but comics. They want, I get where Sticky Goose now has had these weird videos where he was roasting people and talking about their reactions. If you don't know who these people are, and then this little clique, they don't realize that YouTube is bigger than what's in front of them, and in their subscription feed, they make no sense. They come off really odd and really weird. But when I watch these videos, they have nice houses. They have good personal hygiene. They obviously have social skills and stuff. But when they make some of this stuff, it comes off fucking weird. And I'm like, no, I don't live in that neighborhood, guys. Sorry. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because it's a topic to talk about, and it was so weird to have all that stuff flooded in my face. And it makes kind of sense. A comment or two I've gotten on some of my videos and a direct message here and there over like the last, we'll say, year here and there, where I'm like, what are they talking about? And would just move on, just dismissed it. Now I get it. No, I'm not part of those guys. Not everybody's part of those guys. They have their own little thing. And if you enjoy it, go on. What I would wish I could do is let them know that when you make a video like this, and you guys are going to check it out, I'm not going to tear it down or anything like that. You really need to introduce yourself, talk about, tell who the people are that you're talking about, put links to the videos, and because you come off looking like a fucking moron. You know what I mean? You're not a moron, but this is how you come off being portrayed, and it was even in the comments, right? So like I said, I'm not destroying these people, right? They seem like very nice people. They seem to be homeowners or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? But just going on what's on there. And I really wish they didn't talk about themselves as a community, because when you see them on their chats and stuff, it's all about ganging up on one person, having they're making up drama, overreacting to things. And let me show you. Let me find my share here. Oh, of course it would be slow today. Is it going to show up? Oh my goodness. Am I still here? All right, let's try this one more time. I may even have to pull it up on the phone. All righty. Huh. You got to be kidding me. Well, guys, it's not going to do it. That's all right. So anyway, I'll just bring them up, right? I'm going to bring it up. You're going to have to look it up. It's not a Howler Mouse video if there isn't a technical issue, you know. So anyway. Okay, Gore Vidal, as I'm looking this up. Many new comic channels began after 2018. Some were new to comics and excited to share their love for them. Some knew about comic YouTubers like you and other old timers, but most did not, still don't. And that's fine. Yeah, that's what I've become aware of. I've been on some of these channels, and when I mention you, Comic Crack, Jared Osborne, and channels that have been around for a decade, they never heard of you and the others. Right. My problem is that the terminology and the titles and things that we've come up with kind of make it appear that they must have known something when, as you said, they don't. That's where the confusion comes in. Calling it a comic book community, there it is. That was widespread. That started with us. The Holy Grail started right here. They're referring to comics, like a comic as a Holy Grail, and seeing that turn morph into something that's incorrect. That's fine. Holy Grail is the one comic that you always wanted, not rare comics or key comics that you always wanted. There can only be one Holy Grail. That's the term. So that's, yeah. So anyway, this guy Wahoo Comics came up and he attempted to make a parody video. Like I said, these guys' goal is to, YouTube made him. I haven't seen this video. I'm not going to watch it, but apparently he's made a video called "They Censored Me for This," the drama. And then he did this parody video that came up called, what is this? Exposing Corruption with the Comic Book Community Awards, where I'm guessing he's done a lot of work for very few views, 240 7 days ago. And even in the comments, somebody mentioned that's a lot of work for 7 views or something like that, right? So these guys try to jump on. It's the exact opposite of what we used to do. Like if there was going to be kind of controversy, we really would meet behind as much as we can on a Google Hangout or a Skype call or something like that, and sort of hash it out. If that's just it, we didn't really have that much drama. And when things were getting dramatic, we kind of laughed it off or went with it if we couldn't talk it through. So now these guys are going through and they're doing, I don't know, they're really getting upset about these awards because Sticky Goose won one, I guess, or whatever he's saying. But the video made zero sense if you're not already in this, if you're not part of that little clique. And then to show you about the awards, that kind of got me. Hey, I'm being, what in the world? They're coming to get me, folks. I have switched over to another camera. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, can you see me? So I looked up the awards, and 1.8 thousand people have watched those awards. That's not the community. Okay. That was the live show where they announced the awards. That's not the community. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, I'm going to have to end this because apparently forces are lining against me. They're like, shut up, Howler Mouse. But apparently forces have lined up to where if they want to do the community awards, I just wish they had enough self-awareness to realize that it's not a community awards, it's your clique. There are many more channels out there. There is no reason for you not to know about things. You've been doing this long enough. And when they announce, like I said, when they started this up, they were made aware of people who've been here longer and have done things. Now, it's not about acknowledgement. It's not about fame. It's not about a place. But it is kind of weird to have somebody like, Captain Strangelove build the house, and then a few of us come in and put in the furniture, and then some people come in after that and set up a table and make a nice dinner, and then we all sit around and eat, and then all of a sudden these people come in and they're like, we made the dinner, and you deal with them. Because there was a time where when Gamergate happened, we had a lot of people switch over here to talk about comics because their hobby went to shit. And I actually have a video up where I talked to a few of them, and I was just sort of like, this may not be the place for you, because they were trying to make videos and do drama like they did with whatever they were doing. This is like 2014, but they got it. A lot of them listened and moved on to other things. They really weren't into the comics. And now it's sort of like there's just this whole drama thing. My thing is like, it's kind of weird when you're in your 30s or 40s and you're trying to act like you're in your 20s, dressing up as characters and walking around Taco Bell's with a skull cap on. And when you're in your early 20s, that's when you're supposed to do stupid stuff. So I'm not sure what's going on with them, or if these are in jokes or something, but it's not coming off well. So I'm afraid that a lot of people just sort of need to say we're not part of that community, right? We had the house built, we had the settings out, dinner was over, it was fantastic. We had a feast. We had some people come in and try to take credit for the dinner, and that all worked out and blew over. And now it's sort of like we're waking up the next morning and stretching, and we go outside scratching our belly with our lunch, and we find out that we've got a bunch of screw up drunks over there in our yard have stolen some of our beer, and they're throwing up in our bushes. And that's kind of what it feels like. So is that a mean thing to say? I don't think so. That's how it's the behavior that I'm talking about, of how it's coming off. And like I said, over the last year, a few questions and comments, and assuming I knew things. Like I said, I know as much about what's going on with these guys as they may or may not have known about people who came before, right? If you can't keep up what's going on now, maybe the party's over. You know what? You're showing up the next morning, and that's where all the drama is, I guess, is coming from. So people see channels that still talk about comics and stuff, and I think they're a little shocked at, like, that's why they kind of ask about this over here and that over there, and you're just sort of like, man, I'm talking about All-Star Superman, brother. You know what I mean? So maybe we could do something later. Now, you can share thoughts, and if I've stepped out of line or said something, or maybe I'm just not getting something, that's cool. You can point it out, because I'm not really that invested. But I just want you to imagine being off YouTube for about a week and then checking out a few things because you're stuck in it. And that's exactly why I stuck it out, man. I could have been watching Dateline. You know what I mean? I totally did it. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, to see this glut of recommended videos and sort of trying to go down the rabbit hole, and you can't even finish one video because it's so ridiculous. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh my God, these people are really upset. Then you start seeing the views and the numbers and how the stuff happened over a week or two ago, and there's people still hanging on to it, trying to make a thing. Some girl did one, said something like Civil War in the comic book community. And I clicked on that when it made it about 3 minutes, because I was like, what the fuck is she talking about? Get to the point. So yeah, drama is a part of YouTube. That's why people show up. But the only time I really have a thing about it is remembering how things were. And we're talking 2016 and back. So yeah, I'm a little stuck. That's a little arrested development on my part. But yeah, there was still drama back then, but we handled it really different. And it's just not that world in it. That's what I'm saying. I can admit that things have evolved and changed. There's people that didn't have those foundations, but I can still talk about it, you know. All right. Oh, Chappello's here. Nice. Good morning. It's going fine, brother. Got back from the cruise. I'm in great shape. We had a blast, man. All right, Victor Shea. Thanks for a list of smaller sites. I'll check them out. Yeah, absolutely, man. That's rude. They do run that risk. I went on a big rant there. So speaking of the old timers, great. So anyway, it's just one of those things that's on my mind to acknowledge. I'm not even an old timer. I have an occasional guest artist. Nice. All right. Victor Shea can see you. Nice. Thanks, guys. Yeah. I play around trying to do something different and it all goes to hell, technically. Drama, an unfortunate part of this shit through all the years. Yeah, yeah. But you know what, Crack? The thing about it is now, back when we had a YouTuber who isn't even a fucking, and it's one of the few things that got personal. He tried to get a few of us fired. He tried to get Great Legend fired from his job from across the fucking country. He tried to get me fired from my job, but he didn't realize I wasn't part of a school. I'm contracted to a school. He got a hold of the fucking principal. But a dude who allegedly, but the dude who split the shit in half, he came in and was a snake in the grass. He actually got personally involved and friends with people. You know what I mean? We didn't have a blueprint for that. That was the early days of YouTube and being exposed to drama. Now I think we've got thicker skin and it's a whole different thing. And we don't have psychos coming on here, narcissists, whatever, psychos coming on here and, spending, 2-3 years getting personally involved with people and then running like a fucker when they're done. So yeah, that was a little bit more personal. Drama. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. CG is now a Dramagate. I haven't heard anything about them for a few months with Comicsgate. The video I made before Comicsgate is why for a while there I was getting, people thought I was part of Comicsgate a little bit there because I had a video come out called SJWs, if you remember that term, killing comics a year before Comicsgate started. I had to I saw people say stuff like he's on the fence with it. I'm like, no, I'm not a part of it. It's not what it was about. I had something to say, made the videos and moved on. People need to go back to the comic, not the drama. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about Alan Davis and stuff. So, 99% of the time, I feel like you get comics here. I've really just gotten a little bit comfortable doing these live shows on Sundays. This is fun for me. Drama would be part of it, but it's always up to the individual whether or not to participate. Yeah. And then there's another thing where it's their channel. Like I totally, if you're going to put it out there, people are going to talk, and that's what some people want. But you may not like how they react or how they listen. It's their channel at the end of the day. They can do whatever they want with it. And, there's consequences for that. Maybe your channel will pop. Maybe it'll die. Maybe you'll run people off. I don't know. The Drama Hour Circle got to stupid levels at one point. Wasn't just behind closed doors either. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. All right, John is still there saying hello. YouTube drama, not worth the shit. I remember when Donnie, the comic book junkie, got into a feud with another YouTuber trying to rebag or not rebag comics. I think it was We Love Comics or something. Yeah, he gave some bad advice, but, it was what it was. I think it's the ones where he was on the comic book junkie was on the toilet in those videos. Something, I don't know. I kind of remember it. I remember it, but I don't remember the details. Yeah. Before I found comics YouTube, I remember Thunderfoot versus Venom Fang debates. YouTube drama is just a soap opera. Thunderfoot was exactly where that footnote in YouTube community, that footnote YouTuber who's not even a footnote, if you will. I pointed out YouTube drama with Thunderfoot and Laughing Witch to him. And then all of a sudden he started messaging me saying, let's have a fake feud with our channels. And I was like, no. And then that's when we were starting getting warnings from a few people who were like, he's about to start some shit. And we had no idea what was coming. There was no blueprint for that. But yeah, it was Thunderfoot and Laughing Witch that got him going. Going drama on YouTube is a double-edged sword. Undead Quinn. Yeah. So anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks for everybody that has popped in. I don't have enough books to show to keep us going. I can answer questions, do things all day long, but you know, I think maybe if anybody wants to be on the show or have a live show later on, send me a message on Instagram, like, subscribe, thumbs it up. And we'll just call it a day here, man. Thanks for everybody that's showing up. Great to see everybody. Make sure you hit the subscription bar because we do this on Sundays. The way it's looking, I am clear for quite a while. And you never know. I think I want to have some time to do some other kind of videos and stuff like that. Any topics you want, leave them in the comments on the rewind. I'll see what I can get. And if you guys want an Alan Davis montage of stuff and a little video where I go over some of my favorite Alan Davis stuff, going from 2-issue story of Batman the Outsiders all the way to Fantastic Four the End, Justice League the Nail, some of his X-Men stuff, Excalibur stuff, some of his Miracle Man stuff. Let me know if you want it, man. Other than that, subscribe, come on back. Great to see everybody, man. Oh, I will definitely check that out, Gore. Oh, my, you can tell us about your favorite cruise cocktail. The Entertainer. I don't know what the hell was in it, but you had to have a shot of white wine to go with it. It's called the Entertainer, sir. Well, I think there was vodka in it. It was very nice. 2 of those, and I was like, I better quit here. All right. And good journey to you all. Gore, thanks for the quote. I'll be checking it out. And later, guys. Be excellent to each other.